Hey there, what's going on? Just got done editing the latest episode, this episode, and towards the end, our meeting software and the technology just went kaput. So, the episode ends rather abruptly. However, I think what we have is worth listening to, albeit short. But it's on a topic I think we'll revisit. Um, you'll hear Kristen talk about some of the struggles that she's been having um, with her own site and getting that launched, and um, I think it's really relatable for a lot of people. So, might do some special episodes or some full on episodes with her. I have to discuss that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks, and I'll see you in the next episode. Later. All right, welcome to Stitches and Picks. This will be a fun episode today because Kristen doesn't know what's coming. And so I've been, editing down all the different things and taking notes on,
Oh
questions that we didn't circle
no!
back on or things that were stated maybe 9 months ago but never followed up on. And I was reminded of it because a good friend of mine called me up and said, "Hey, checked out the first couple episodes. Um, Dave, you're boring when you don't, and monotone when you're not super excited about it." So that's my bit of feedback to work on my tone of voice. So thank you, Steve, if you're listening. But the other thing that is going to
Oh no.
focus our conversation today is in multiple recordings. Kristen, you stated that you were going to have Casting Knits launched by October. It is now recording date October 28th. You got 3 days. Are we going to hit that mark?
No. No, we're not.
All right. Why?
Uh, honestly, because I'm a project manager for my day-to-day work, and project managing myself is the hardest thing to do, and I don't want to do it. And so even when I put down a date, I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
Have you
Honestly, like
made
like I've made my
okay?
choices. I will own up to it. I've made my choices to spend time a little bit more in this world, in Stitches and Picks world,
Mm-hmm.
than my casting knits world. So like when I have free time, I am definitely dedicating it to this more than I am casting knits at this point. And I'm choosing my kiddo and hanging
Mm-hmm.
out with my family and my friends now that the world feels like it's opened up a little bit more. Instead of doing, and like, you're gonna freaking kill me. I kind of picked up, I didn't, I kind of picked up a new hobby.
Yeah.
It's very not time consuming, and it has a lot to do with knitting. So that's how I figured I could get away. But I literally was like sitting there like doing it. And I'm like, Dave's gonna have some thoughts about this. um, no, it's so I love it because it's nerdy, but it's called needle felting. So you take wool and
Mm-hmm.
you like felt it with a needle. You like stab something like a gazillion times. It's fantastic. Um,
So it's cathartic.
I'm not very good at it yet, but like I took a class because I wanted to like, what's that?
It's cathartic. You know.
It's cathartic, yes.
Yeah. Just
I
stabbing things
wanted
over and
to
over again to calm down.
knitters joke that they're like, you don't want to mess with a knitter. We stab and choke things all the time because that's like the movement you do for knitting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was like, you know what? I want to be a little social. I want to like learn something new and kind of expand my creativity a little bit. So I took a class and it
Mm-hmm.
was put on by like a work thing. So it had like triple benefits for me because I'm like trying to always figure out how I can like maximize my time or whatever. And not always, because sometimes I just sit and stare at a wall because I'm sick or whatever. Um, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. And it has a little bit to do. And if it kind of rekindles that passion for knitting, and it did. And I'm also knitting gifts for Christmas this year
Mm. That's a
because
time
I'm a
commitment.
masochist.
Yeah.
And I'm not just knitting a small gift, I'm knitting a sweater. So I've been spending a lot of time doing that.
Mm. That yeah, that eats up a lot of time.
Yeah.
It eats up a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so the
I
couple
will
of
admit.
fronts on that. So, good on you for keeping the passion alive, because that's definitely one thing, right? Like, um, especially when you try to do websites or side hustles or whatever else on something you're passionate about. I mean, you can kill it by doing, you know, doing something like this.
So
Um,
here's the other thing, like in line with killing it, I've been thinking about lately is if you get to an expert level in your hobby or in your side thing,
mhm,
you lose your audience because your audience is not along on this journey with you. Like I know like a bunch of different techniques for like dropping stitch, like how to fix a drop stitch or whatever.
mhm,
And if I'm like, oh, if I assume my audience already knows that because I know that, I'm gonna totally lose them in like some of my content or whatever. So
mhm.
I think taking a derailed, like tangential hobby is remind myself what it's like to learn something again
Right,
and puts me back in that audience mindset, which I've kind of liked too. So I haven't totally like not thought about it.
right.
Sorry, continue.
No,
Not
it's
sorry.
fine because the that is definitely something for me with BGO and then starting the stitches thing with you. Um, I realized I was doing a lot more of the production stuff that I like to do, like the audio production, the video production. But I wasn't playing for me at all, you know, with the
Yeah,
guitar. And so that portion of it needed to be revisited, and so I've been doing that a little bit more
good.
recently. And you know, revisiting some of the songs that I've just like almost finished but haven't completed yet. So looking at those and being like, okay, how can I get them more close to being done and ready to release than, you know, where they are now? Um, and trying to formulate a plan with that. But um, yeah. So okay. Well, at least you're staying within that knitting piece of it.
I
Um,
will own it. And like, it's not, I know that we've talked about this in other episodes too. I'm the person that like builds the stuff and never launches it.
mhm,
And that's very much why this dynamic between you and me works. You've definitely pushed me to launch this, which
mhm,
has helped me a lot. And I am it's not that I don't doubt that I will launch Casting Knit's website and have my first pattern up. I'm still working on that pattern. That has not gone away.
mhm.
In fact, I have more drawings for new patterns too that I haven't done yet. Um, it's almost like I don't know, like it's right there. So I'm like, I got time, I guess.
Well, so I think the way that we're going to launch these things, this episode will come right after when I talked about the BGO launch story. So if
Mm,
anybody's hasn't heard that one, go back and listen to it. But you know, one of the things with launching the guitar site really was this like, you know, it was this like 4 year build up of having the idea, watching the market, looking at the stuff.
time out.
Mhm.
4 years for
From
build.
idea and purchase of
I
domain
got time. If it took
to
you 4 years, I've got time.
yeah, but I didn't publicly state anything. As soon as I said publicly that I was going to do something, I did it.
What does that matter? I don't see the significance.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. So, yeah, so I found the domain in like 2014 and just went, this is too good to pass up. I'm going to buy it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And then it took me a little bit of, you know, looking at, okay, is this viable? How do I do that? Right. But I
Mm-hmm.
did get to a point, to your earlier bit, where I had most of the content done. It was all packaged, ready to go. And I was finding myself tweaking things
Oh,
constantly rather than actually just doing it. So then that's where I finally just hit the button because it's like, and it's done. Now, if
yeah.
I tweak it, so what? Like it's already live. And um so that was good just to hit it like warts and all, right? Just to get it out there because that is that first barrier, right?
Yep.
Um so as a serial non-launcher, how
What are you going to ask me?
how has actually, post launching, now I'm just making up words, after launching Stitches and doing this whole thing, has that been rewarding enough to
Yes.
get you closer to the edge of
I
hitting
think that's
go
what
on the casting?
what makes it make all feel more tangible.
Mm.
It's like, oh yeah, like, and I literally know that I can sit down and go, what do I need to launch?
Hmm.
What are my deliverables I need to launch my website and have this pattern up? How do I work that back and cut that down into pieces of work and then literally go, okay, I'm going to do that on Tuesday. I'm going to do that on Saturday. I could do that. I know I can do that.
Hmm.
I probably should do it. I know I should do it.
Hmm.
I just
So
need to
I'll,
like, I don't know. I have all the excuses right now. I think
well,
it
you are,
feels a
yeah,
little scarier because it's just me. Like the stitches and picks thing, it's you and me.
right.
And like I think I texted you one night. I was like, social content for this just like comes easily for me because
Hmm.
we're talking, it's easy to pull quotes from this or do like little clips or whatever. And it's the content that we're trying to talk about, we can like actually pull from. But I don't have that in knitting. And I want to talk about my pattern, but that's not the only thing I want to talk about. And I have a strategy for casting knits on social and how I market, but I know if I don't market, no one's going to buy my pattern.
Right.
So it's like I'm almost struggling with what to say and how to show up in marketing casting knits right now in a way that feels right to me. And I think that might be probably my biggest blocker. It's not the tech like the tactical how to do things. I know how to do all that stuff. It's
Right.
more of like, and I don't know. I know what is my niche, what separates me out from different, like when I was in my group class the other weekend, where we were learning how to felt knit, felt
Hmm.
not knit, needle felt, excuse me. That is a different thing. BT dubs. Um, I asked people, I was like, because someone brought their sweater that they're knitting, and I was like, y'all like I did like a little mini anecdotal poll. I was like, do y'all like to make sweaters? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, do you like to make seamless sweaters or do you like to make ones that are in like panels? And they're like, oh no, seamless. Hands down seamless. And I was like, this is this is my niche. Like this is one of my like my niche area. So I need to figure out, I don't know. It's so hard with like now I'm just like stream of consciousness. Being in your 9 to 5 and then switching context and being like, okay, in knitting, if I'm doing seamless, what are the things? And it's like there's such an overlap with other niches that how do you differentiate then? I probably need a whole hour to talk to you about this. And like, I need to work this out.
Okay. Well, we can
See,
get a
this is
start
why
and
it's
then
good to be
we'll,
held accountable.
right. Well, and I thought, some people will be like, "Oh my God, he's throwing you under the bus." It's like, no, I want to know why and find out of curiosity. Like, I know, we don't necessarily have to say this publicly, but some of the stuff that you've said with, having kids and
Yeah.
just maintaining the family stuff, like,
Yep.
yeah, stuff happens. It gets in the way, and
I have an
that's
ear infection right now
right.
and I'm on meds for it. So like it does happen. No, it's funny because like this is exactly why you and I started these masterminds though, is because just the two of us like holding each other accountable, being like, hey, you did mention that. Like, what are you
Hmm.
doing? I prefer to be held accountable. Like, do I want to be like held to the grill every single day? No. But I think it's completely fair for you to ask me about it. And also, like, that is literally what we're talking about here. Like, we are on this journey for our own stuff. And I'm going to
Hmm.
be really real. And I'm not going to shy away from the choices that I've made. I'm not going to shy away from I still want to do it. If I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't be here. If I didn't want to launch Casting Knits, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
If I didn't believe that I could do it, I wouldn't be here. So I'm totally fine with you checking with me. I'm gonna come up with a. We need to like. I want to. Let's talk. Let's set up a time to talk about like. Can we do a working session on on Casting Knits for marketing? Because I think I need to like process some of this stuff out loud and like write it down and come up with this like not social media content, but like an actual like content strategy to it. Because
Mm-hmm.
I've done it for a bunch of other things and it comes easy, and this one is not coming easy to me. So I think I need another person on it.
So just to tease some stuff out of that, do you think it's a channel problem, an audience definition problem, which would
I think
then
it's a
lead into a
little bit of
channel
audience
problem?
definition, but I think it's more tone of voice and like brand. It's brand and tone of voice.
Mm. So, like, if you were, you know where the audience is,
Hmm.
right? So if I say Pinterest, LinkedIn, or um, Instagram, where are you going between those three?
Instagram.
Okay. Um, what about Instagram, TikTok? Is there a difference
Both,
there?
but they're two different audiences,
Okay.
which doesn't mean they can't share content or tone of voice or brand, because obviously I want to show up the same in both places. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it would be amiss to, I'm saying this in a very weird way, it would be advantageous for me to actually like cater content to the formatting and audience on each of the platforms.
Right.
I think it's like I remember when we first talked about casting knits and I like had this idea and I came up with casting knits because the whole like casting knits is like a nautical theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I even have like a brain web of like all the nautical type stuff. And I've had such a hard time designing around that stuff. I don't want to design around that. So I don't know that that's the right fit anymore. I think that's probably where this is coming in. Like I love those ideas and I want to incorporate them in places for just certain design elements of sweaters. So like I'm only doing sweaters. Yes, I know that. I'm only doing seamless sweaters. Yes, that limits me in some ways. Opens up a lot of
Mm-hmm.
doors in other ways. Totally fine with that. It means that my audience is a little bit more of an advanced knitter potentially, or someone who wants to jump into being more of an advanced knitter because there's some techniques occasionally, most of the time, that I'll be utilizing. Um, but when it comes to design aspects, like I want to design, I'm not this is what it is. I want to the sweaters that I want to design are not nautical. And I don't want to
Well,
be like boxed in by that.
well, casting knits as a an idea is a good brand. It's fun and pithy
Yeah,
um but yeah, I mean that doesn't have to be the only thing you do.
I agree. But that's like I want to make sure that the brand that I have, I don't want to be all over the place. But I don't want to this is what I find with some knitters. There's like they're all over the place and it's chaotic and you have no idea that they're even a designer.
Mm,
And you can buy their patterns or where you can buy their patterns. Then you've got some people who are so branded that you're like, mm, it's not exciting. It's not human. It's not relatable. I want to be in that slightly to the side where I'm brand enough. People know what I'm about. They know that I'm a designer. They know that they can come to me and where they can buy their patterns, whether it's on Ravelry or on my website, like all of that stuff.
hmm
But I think I'm worried that casting knits, like, and I know casting knits could be interpreted in many ways besides nautical. So I know that it could be like, I've thought about like, people probably think of like, they could interpret it as like casting, like actor casting for like things. That's obviously not what it means for me. But how do I reconcile? I just don't have it like a tone of voice. I don't have a brand
well,
that's like concise,
okay,
but I
so
love it. But
hearing you say some of that stuff, some of it is not, it's not in your control, right? Like the
Yeah.
brand you I think a lot of people struggle with this. You spend all this time coming up with the names, the typing, like all the
Mhm.
design stuff, which is fun and exciting and yay. As soon as you release the idea into the world, it's not yours anymore. It's up to
That's
everybody
true.
else to make their own interpretation of it.
That's true.
So if somebody takes it as a casting thing, that's on them. If somebody takes it as the nautical thing, cool. Um,
But don't you like when you have a brand and you have a name for a brand, if it leans one way in like context of the English language, wouldn't you expect then that you see more nautical themed designs? And it's not that there's like for me, there's a plethora of like nautical options. Like I get like I can do that. But I that's not I want to just like design and find I just want to design the sweaters that I want my own wardrobe or that like I think would look really good on someone I know. And I don't know, I
mhm.
guess I know I can just do that, but I then how do I like go to market with that? I feel like everyone's like, I designed this sweater because I really loved the ocean and it reminded me of that, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm using a mocking voice, but that's not what I want for me.
Following your logic though,
That's what I, yes.
if
Okay.
Banana Republic only did stuff around that name, first off, I mean, it wouldn't cut the mustard
Mm,
now anyway, um, given the cultural context of it.
yep.
They would be making linen shirts and that's it,
Yeah.
right? But they don't.
Fair point.
They make pea coats. They make, a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't fit me, and that's fine.
Slacks.
That's not for me,
Yeah.
right? um, and it's for a particular person, and it's what's in a name, right?
So you're saying let the work evolve to what it's going to be, and the name will be branded by the work.
Right. I mean, look at some of these names, right? Like Harley Davidson, without the history of a motorcycle company, you would not associate those two names with motorcycles right away, right? Like it's the body of work that gets collected into sort of the brand thought, um, you know, over time, right? You can think Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? What does a colored cow have to do with uh, a drink? Nothing. you know, it's a name, and whatever you build off of it
Yeah,
is
but
what
then I feel
comes
like
of
then
it.
it's like cheeky versus like just mismatched.
If it's
I
successful,
guess
it's not
there's really
mismatched, and
nothing
everybody will
stopping
be
me
giving
from
you
like
leeway. You know, if it's not successful, they're like,
fair
well,
point.
yeah, the brand didn't
The other
match.
option is to completely rename it, but I don't want to do that either.
Well, but it does fit your brand, your personal brand, if you want to go with that direction of that kind of earthy brick. Like when we talked about building your studio, right? You said like I want the old windows and the brick and the artist loft and that kind of vibe. So why wouldn't you do sort of a Scandinavian, you know, um, I don't know, Scandinavian seascape as your title image or something? Or if you want to get rid of the nautical piece, like just don't show water.